Testimony, and most importantly, what comes next. Paul Henderson is back with us. He's a prosecutor and the director of the San Francisco Office of Police Accountability. Paul, help us understand how the judge will decide the scope of penalty or punishment. Like, plain and simple, what exactly is he looking for here?
Well, he's already determined that there's been persistent and pervasive fraud. And so right now, his focus on just the extent of the damage that has been caused and what the remedy is. So that's really all the judge is figuring out here, trying to figure out the scale and the scope of how accountable Donald Trump is going to be. Now, what that includes is contemplation of how much control is going to be taken away from him for the ruling in New York, and how much the damages are going to be that can be up to $250 million.
Okay. And I believe, we may have it, we may not have it, but I think we might have a full screen listing what the prosecution is asking for regarding this. Here it is on our screen. So we see that 5-year ban on commercial real estate transactions in New York, another 5-year ban on applying for commercial loans, a permanent ban on Trump or his children heading up New York businesses. So definitely just keeping this in mind with what you just explained, the prosecution is resting its case after Ivanka Trump's testimony tomorrow. What should we expect to hear from Ivanka?
I think you're going to hear the same things that you've heard from Trump and the same things that have been alluded to from his other children that have testified, that they are not solely responsible, that they've relied upon other people. You're going to hear a regurgitation of the same defenses that Trump has pulled out, and those defenses have been threefold. One, that there were non-reliant clauses in the documents that were turned in. 2, that there were no damages to the bank and the loans were paid back. And 3, that someone else is the person that is most reliable. That's going to be really hard to overcome because Donald Trump himself has testified that mistakes were made. If you notice in how he uses the language, putting it in the third person like that, as if someone else made the mistakes but not him, is going to be the hill that he and his defense team has to overcome. But that's what we're going to hear from Ivanka, a reiteration of those same defenses on the stand.
Continuing with the topic of defense, Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, sparked this entire investigation and case when he had testified before Congress in 2019, if we can think that far back, and said Trump and his employees, inflated the president's net worth. And during his testimony in this trial, he also admitted, lying under oath, then he denied it. So listen to what Trump said yesterday.
Everybody saw what happened with their star witness who admitted that I never told him what he originally said. I did. He admitted that he lied, and he has absolutely no credibility whatsoever. That's their only witness. That's their only witness.
Okay, so you walked through the 3 points of defense that we've heard so far from the family. Can we expect the defense to touch on this point, going back again to your star witness is a liar? And also, how may it be similar, the defense that we'll hear once they are, in the courtroom presenting their case? Will it be different from what we've heard publicly from Trump and his team already, or more of the same?
It won't be that much different. It will just be an interpretation of what you've already heard. And so what he's going to try and say, especially with all of these lawyers and financial experts testifying against him and dealing with all of the issues that he either supervised, controlled, or directed, that's the issue, because it's always the issue of agency. But the key question to understand when unpacking agency is who was in control? Who directed this? And that circle always comes back to Trump. The reason that he's undermining and challenging all of these folks testifying is because now he wants to push them away and try and distance himself from the representation that he had with these lawyers, with these financial advisors, with the people that handled his paperwork, including his children, who are all saying the same thing. And if they can confuse someone enough pointing away, that may lead to a better outcome. In this case, however, they don't have a jury. They have a sophisticated judge that knows and understands that was a big mistake, and I think that's going to come back to bite them in the end, because the arguments that they'll be making in terms of their defense are not likely to work or to be well received from this judge.
All right, San Francisco attorney Paul Henderson. Hey, thanks for coming back on to level set what happened yesterday. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Now, coming up, who is set to play a role in Gaza's future as violence enters a second month? What Israel says it may have plans once the fighting is over.
Sponsored by Oak Street Health, health care for older adults. Book your visit today.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
I used to think all doctors were the same. Then I switched to Oak Street Health. You see, this isn't your typical doctor's office. Instead of waiting around for me to get sick, they focus on keeping me healthy and feeling good. Hey, still got it.
Zion. No sugar, right?
And the best part, everyone at Oak Street Health is experienced with people my age.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you with a focus on keeping you healthy. So don't wait. Call today.
Zion, we're ready for you.
Here people get to know me the old-fashioned way.
By listening.
This guy takes all the notes, so my doctor is all eyes on me, and I'm never rushed out.
Ready to go?
We get to know you better with longer appointment times, including same-day and next-day appointments.
Everyone gets their own personal care team. Hey, whether it's doctors, nurses, social workers, mental health support, even someone to help me understand my Medicare benefits. They all work together for me, myself, and I. Not to mention a 24/7 patient support line.
We customized a plan for him, and we can do the same for you.
Getting the care you need has never been easier because our team members work together to handle all your healthcare needs.
And you get all this with no extra cost. They even gather all your medical records and health history. So switching to their doctors is easy. And you can keep living your life your way.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you. Call 800-967-2157 to schedule a visit and see why we are the only primary care provider to carry the AARP name. Oak Street Health.
We're Carvana. We've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Go to Carvana, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. We'll come to you, pay you on the spot, then pick up your car. That's it. At Carvana.
Tonight, the power is in the people's hands. America Votes, Election Night 2023, hosted by Del Walters. Special coverage starts tonight at 9/8 Central, only on Scripps News.
The world awaits as Israel Defense Forces surround Gaza City with a major ground offensive imminent. The IDF claims it already found and destroyed several Hamas tunnels in Gazan residential areas. And the Biden administration's repeated calls for a humanitarian pause. Israel remains relentless, carrying out airstrikes and artillery attacks into the area. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry announced the death toll has surpassed 10,000 in Gaza since the start of the war. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told ABC in an exclusive interview yesterday that Israel's presence in Gaza will likely continue even after the war is over.
The responsibility of a government is to protect the people, and clearly that responsibility wasn't met. Those who don't want to continue the way of Hamas, it certainly is not, I think Israel will, for an indefinite period, will have the overall security responsibility, because we've seen what happens when we don't have it. When we don't have that security responsibility, what we have is the eruption of Hamas terror on a scale that we couldn't imagine.
International correspondent Sarah Coates has the latest developments on the conflict from Tel Aviv.
Well, the Israeli military has just given an update on operations on the ground inside Gaza, with the southern commander coming out to say that we're fighting in these hours in the most significant centers of the Gaza Strip, saying for the first time in the past decades, the IDF is in the heart of Gaza City, in the heart of terrorism. In front of our eyes are the abductees who are being held captive, adding, "Your return is a compass for us." Now, over the last few hours, there were pictures circulating by the IDF. It put them out, actually, showing hundreds and hundreds of Gazans walking from the north to the south after this alert was issued once again by the Israeli military, telling people to move south for their own safety. These people had their hands in the air.